Hey, how you doing? Ready for a fun time?
Always.
Just so we can get out time before.
Meeting to order on the 29th of June at 4 o'clock. And we'll have the flag salute led by Colleen Lambert.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate and electronic notice has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in the Beach Haven Municipal Building, on the borough website, and mailing the same to the Beach Haven Times, the Asbury Park Press, and the Press of Atlantic City. Mr. Batista?
Here.
Mrs. Paul Miller?
Here.
Ms. Lambert?
Here.
Ms. Snyder?
Here.
Mayor Davis?
Here.
I have Resolution 153, 2023 to start out today's agenda. Resolution 153 is approving a promotion of Patrolman Thomas Daly to the position of Sergeant for the Borough of Beach Haven Police Department.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Batista?
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Lambert?
Yes.
Ms. Snyder?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Daly, come on up. I
Thomas Daly,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
to the governments established in the United States
to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in the state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform
all the duties of the office of sergeant
all the duties of the office of sergeant
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Thank you.
Sorry. Hold on. No, the other way.
I'm going to take a 5-minute recess and let the family take some photos up here from the dais, and then we'll reconvene. Thank you.
Well, just
Okay, we're going to reconvene the meeting. I also just wanted to make a quick announcement that Mary Ivanchek in the building and construction office is also retiring. It was an emotional day today, packing up her things and preparing for our party tonight at the firehouse. And I just wanted everyone, if they had not had a chance already, to stop by and say congratulations to her. We're all going to miss her. I have minutes for approval, the May 8th regular meeting minutes without formal reading.
Motion to approve. Is there a second? I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ordinance 2023-16C, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 141, Peace and Good Order in the Borough Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to exempt certain areas from the regulations contained within 141.6 pertaining to mooring in the Borough Beach Haven riparian areas. Final reading.
I'd like to make a couple comments about this. This is the final reading, but some issues have come up relating to this, and I would like to postpone this vote tonight. We're looking at the ordinance from 1980. What is it, Mike?
1988.
88, and we think it needs more clarification. We do want to prohibit any dockage at street ends in the future. We would like to make the Pearl Street area a dock area for people that are actively involved in basically fishing and clamming, oystering, et cetera, on the bay. But I think we need some more specific rules and regulations as to who can moor there. And so I would like to postpone this vote. Is there anybody else in council that has anything to say about this?
I'd like to comment. Thank you, Mayor. So this ordinance, for the public who need to understand this a little better, this has to do with the end of West Avenue and Pearl Street.
Pull your microphone a little closer, Mike.
Sure. And in 1988, all throughout town, residents were able to moor at street ends. And many people put pilings and posts in the ground, and they tied their boats to those street ends. In 1988, the Borough Council at the time determined that the street ends and the riparians of the borough should be left open for everyone to use and not just restricted to any one person. And so they adopted this ordinance 8815, which prohibited anybody from mooring in a riparian, including the street ends, for more than 2 hours. So the issue has come up with the boats that are moored on the end of West Avenue and Pearl Street. And they represent a real fabric and a heart of our community. The Baymen, it's a heritage that we want to preserve. So we want to keep that area reserved for Baymen and their boats, but we need the ordinance that is presented to us tonight simply exempts Pearl Street from 8815, which means that anybody can moor there, any size boat for any length of time. They can stick pilings in the ground, and then the borough has no way to control it, enforce it, or otherwise. So the message is clear. We want those boats to stay. We want to add to the clarity of 8815, but I personally do not believe that this ordinance that is up on second reading tonight, after speaking with the public and looking at it myself, is the right way to do it. So I think the mayor's correct. Let's carry this for a month. Let's get some script that defines who can moor there, how they moor there. And we treat it more like the end of Dock Road, which is now really a borough marina. And this would become a borough marina the same way. And so I'll second the mayor's motion, and I hope we get a little support from council to carry this for a month.
So this would be, sounds like a motion by the mayor, seconded by Councilman Batista, to table this for a month.
Yes.
If substantial changes are made to the ordinance, and it seems based on the discussion that there might be, when this reappears on the agenda, it would be a first reading.
We know that.
If substantial changes are not made, just for the record, and it's reintroduced in a month, then we would have to have public hearing, because we're foregoing public hearing now.
Of course. Okay.
You're talking about the agenda meeting in July?
Yes. No, I mean, the agenda meeting in July, do we want to postpone it for a little longer? Do we need more time to do?
I
this?
don't need a lot of time. I think we
Okay.
can draft what we need very quickly. It's up to council how much time you figure. How about our borough manager? How much time do you need to get something in writing? By the way, I also want to say that this ordinance also clarifies that no one is going to be allowed to tie up to a bulkhead. So the ordinance is still in place that allows anyone to moor within a riparian on the street end for up to 2 hours. But what this new ordinance will do, and I am in favor of that, would prohibit people from tying to the borough bulkhead. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but we'd like to carry that as part of the script of rewriting this.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Roll call?
Mr. Batista,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Abstain.
Ms. Lambert,
Yes.
Ms. Snyder,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-18C, an ordinance amending Chapter 145, Section 2, fees for passes, Chapter 184, Section 2, fees for passes of the Code of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, to amend the current fees for borough tennis courts and pickleball courts to include a non-resident season pass. Final reading.
This is final reading, so it's open to the public if anybody would like to speak. Is there anybody out there that would like to speak to this? Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to speak to it? Yeah, we do have somebody. Yes, come forward. We can't see very well. I'm sorry.
John Halprin, 319 Fairview Avenue, Beach Haven. My only comment is I'm very supportive of this ordinance. I think we should give our taxpayers and the residents a break in terms of the fees. I'm a little concerned, though, that Long Beach Township has a larger discount for their residents. They're basically 50% of the non-resident fees. So I just would like to see a greater disparity between what residents pay and what non-residents would pay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? In the room, on Zoom? Anybody on Zoom? No? Yes, okay.
Sue Sharkey, 10 North Delaware. I know we talked about this before. Obviously, it's final reading. I just think it's not the right time. Maybe reevaluate, leave it the same. We've already bought our passes. And when we discussed it the first time, I think one of the goals was to find out where people live. And I just don't think this is the answer to that. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I close the floor and do we have a motion to approve this?
I make a motion that we approve this ordinance.
Is there a second? I'll second it.
Mr. Batista,
Yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Lambert,
No.
Ms. Snyder,
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-20, an ordinance of the Borough of Beach Haven in the County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, dissolving the sewerage authority pursuant to NJSA 40:14A-4H and NJSA 40A:5A-20, and establishing a sewer utility. First reading.
This is first reading, so it's not open to the public. Is there anybody on council that would like to speak to this?
I'll explain what's going on.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Thank you.
As I'm sure some people know, maybe not everyone, the sewer authority is not part of the borough utility. We have a Borough of Beach Haven Water Utility Department, and our sewer department has been run by the sewer authority. The sewer authority was started a long time ago, and it is run by a board that's appointed by town council. The spark that's moving this forward is that we can, for everyone that lives here in Beach Haven that gets a water and sewer bill, we're going to save a lot of efficiency with billing by including both the water bill and the sewer bill all on one bill. And now you'll be able to pay your water and sewer with one bill. The complications that we've been dealing with in the borough on this are that a lot of people don't realize that the sewer authority isn't the part of the Borough of Beach Haven. And when they call with a problem on their bill, our administration is dealing with the issue, and we have to then pass it on to the sewer authority. The sewer authority is a part-time operation. They're not as equipped as we are. And it is creating a problem that we can eliminate. In addition, the sewer authority, since we installed the water meters, is using the water meter billings for their sewer billings. So we're operating with two databases side by side. We're collecting all the information here at the borough, and then we're passing it on to the sewer authority, and we're paying twice for the maintenance of these databases. And there's other logistical problems when people change their address and so forth. The database information, as we change it here at the borough, doesn't get changed at the sewer authority. So there's a lot of issues going on there. In addition, the labor force at the sewer authority is now retiring, as many of us are in the borough here. And it makes a lot more sense to consolidate at this time. And we have the support of the sewer authority to do this. And I think everyone it's going to be a win-win situation for everybody.
In addition, you'll only get one bill. You'll have one bill with your sewer and water on it. So it simplifies things. Okay,
I just wanted to say that, I did have reservations about this. As Mike just explained, there are some definite pros, and I think in the end they do win out. I like the fact that we had a checks and balances system, and I always think that's a healthy thing in any government. However, as they mentioned, with so many people retiring, it would have been a lot to bring everybody back. And I spoke with some members of the sewer authority, and they said this is probably the best time. I mean, we've had this separate relationship for almost 70 years. So, it's been working pretty well. The new software was something that also made us want to address it. So now is the time, I suppose, although I was concerned about a lot of the local people who had their jobs down there. The retirement kind of takes care of that too.
I agree with Colleen, and I had reservations at first as well. I think that this is the time. It's just sort of the perfect time. It does sort of sadden me because I know everyone on the sewer authority, and they're all near and dear to all of our hearts, I think. And so I'm glad that I hope that they will stay with us for a little while to make sure things are running smoothly. And I just want to thank them all for all of the years and the service that they have provided for us. Thanks.
No, I agree with this move. I was in the borough a few times this week, and people were coming to pay their water bill and their taxes and then their sewer bill. And then we had to explain to them, they have to go to Nelson, but it's only open till noon. So it
Pull your
really,
mic- pull your mic up
it
a
really
little.
streamlines things for the utilities. And I think this is the right time to do it.
I would also add that no one is going to be losing their jobs. Anyone that is still employed at the sewer authority will become employees of the borough of Beach Haven.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve this ordinance?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second,
Mr. Batista.
yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
Yes,
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes.
Ordinance 2023-21, an ordinance of the Borough of Beach Haven, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, creating the Borough of Beach Haven Sewer Utility and establishing a sewer utility fund. First reading.
I think we've had enough discussion. I think everything's been answered. Am I correct on that?
This ordinance just establishes the financial obligations that we have to collect sewer revenues and to keep them isolated as sewer revenues to be used to maintain our sewer system.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second,
Mr. Batista.
yes.
Mrs. Ball Miller.
Yes.
Ms. Lambert.
yes,
Ms. Snyder.
Yes.
Mayor Davis.
Yes.
All matters listed under item consent agenda are considered to be routine by the municipal council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds, and any item requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed separately. All consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes. Resolution 150, 2023 is commencing an application to the local finance board pursuant to NJSA 40A:5A20. 151 is amending Resolution 102, 2023, which approved a change order 1 from March 29th, 2023 for the 2020 Public Works Garage Project Phase 2 interior improvements with shoreland construction. 152 is establishing the curbside pickup parking spaces. 154 is authorizing the Borough of Beach Haven through the Beach Haven Police Department to participate in the Defense Logistics Agency Law Enforcement Support Office 1033 program to enable the Borough Police to request and acquire excess Department of Defense equipment.
Would anybody on council like to remove any of these resolutions for further discussion?
Can I ask a question? Just, I should have asked this before the meeting, but the establishing curbside pickup, is that keeping them the way they are now?
So in the ordinance, we've established a mechanism that businesses can apply annually for 15-minute curbside pickup spaces near their business. So this is the new round of requests for curbside pickup
Okay.
spaces. We've been processing the applications, and now we're memorializing them by resolution so we can enforce them.
Okay, thank you.
So do we have a motion to approve the resolutions?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? I'll second it. I'll second it. Okay.
Mr. Batista?
Yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller?
Yes.
Ms. Lambert?
Yes.
Ms. Snyder?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes.
I have a bill list today in the amount of $327,480.80.
Any questions about the bills? I hope you would have asked ahead of time. No? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the bills?
I've reviewed the bills. I see nothing out of the ordinary. I make a motion, we approve the bills.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Batista?
Yes.
Mrs. Ballmiller?
Yes.
Ms. Lambert?
Yes.
Ms. Snyder?
Yes.
Mayor Davis?
Yes. All right, we're here for general discussion, and our first discussion item is the skateboard park and the basketball park. We have received grants for these. We have a 80-day period that we can either accept or not accept the grants. So that's why we need to discuss this at this point in time. And this is general discussion. If anybody on council would like to start the discussion, then we'll open it up to the public.
I'll start.
Okay.
Okay. Here we are again, discussing the skate park. And the reason why a decision really needs to be made tonight with the majority of support is because the grant will run out. So the grant runs out in about 80 days. So we really need to solidify the location of the skate park so I can tell our borough engineer to go out to bid for the skate park. So this has been, I've seen many familiar faces in the crowd. This has been almost 2 years worth of work and effort to move forward with a recreational activity that the kids of this community approached council. They asked for it. So we replied last year, the former council went through with hiring a design company to design the park. We decided on the location after a lot of discussion to be Walsh Field. And that's where it stands still today. However, it does not exactly have to be in the front of Walsh Field adjacent to the tennis courts. It can fit just as well at the west side of Walsh Field, where originally Councilman Batista wanted to possibly put a new basketball court there. But it's the same width. The length is a little bit longer, but it does fit there. I talked to the borough engineer. It actually resolves issues with the baseball field because it would only be actually taking a very small amount of the baseball field, and that would hopefully help a lot of people who have a really strong passion for baseball, and it is another recreational activity. So it's not, putting one recreational activity against another. So it's only taken a very small slither of left field. So I talked individually to each of the council members about this different location. is away from the tennis court, so it would not be interrupting any type of tennis play, but everything of the park is exactly the same. It would just be moving and shifting and having the entrance on Ocean Street rather than having it on the boulevard. So that's what I'm proposing. I'm looking for council to support me on this so I can move forward with this project for the children of this community and go out to bid and get this done.
All right, I think at this point, we should listen to the comments in the crowd and then we can talk about it some more. So I'm opening the floor to public discussion. I've got, can you vote, line up? Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, David Bennett. I represent a number of people on Ocean Street and on Pearl Street. More than 10. Obviously, we've been here before. We've had the issue about, my clients are, and a number of people are absolutely against this project for a number of reasons. I'm appreciative of the fact of the turnout this evening, particularly this afternoon, from the younger crowd that are here. And someone who has skated, someone who does surf. I appreciate their involvement. Probably this is the best crowd representing skateboarders because they're here, they want to participate, they care about their sport, and there is value to it. And they're probably those people who would be there and we'd be very comfortable with. But my clients are telling me, and I tend to agree with them, not all of them are as fine and fabulous as our representatives for that position today. So we go back to the same issues. You have a balancing act in which is, are we going to take care of the kids in this town and other towns for this project? And how does it bear on the taxpayers and the owners of the property? Mr. Conway is about to get up and speak. There's a question on the new possibility of moving this site over to Ocean Street. And I feel badly for him. I don't represent him, but this project's gonna be right in front of his house. He's been there for 30 years, 40 years, he'll tell you, right after me. And the problem is there's the same issues we've always gone over with that are not only on this site, but also in the borough, one of which is water, flooding. There was a pump out station on 12th Street. This is going to be an issue once again. I don't know who of the membership of Little Lake Harbor Yacht Club is aware of this change. I just saw this map today. It's a suggestion by Mrs. Balmer. I think it's a nice idea. It's fine, but now we're looking at the entire prospect of what's going to happen. Then on top of this, we have a grant. I believe it is $75,000 from the state, is that correct? The question becomes is, what is the price for the construction of this? And what is the maintenance of it? And who is going to supervise this skateboard? And the problem is the balancing act is the people who are my clients, not my clients, Mr. Conway thinking, what is this going to do to my property? And what are we going to do when this becomes a problem? And all we have to do for our end is to look at some of the issues that are happening. You have a curfew in this municipality at the beach at night. We know there's having problems down in Ocean City. We know of problems over in Little Lake Harbor Township with their skateboard. Their skaters were there. They were not, and probably most of them were fine, but they were not observing the protocol. And they shut it down, at least temporarily at some point. And we've seen it in Morristown and other
30
places.
seconds.
We are just asking that you consider every aspect to it, and particularly those who actually have properties. Mr. Conway has a property, and I don't know how it's going to affect his value of his property, but I bet you he's going to tell you it's not good. So thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Rich Conaway. I live at 330 Ocean Street in Beach Haven. I think one thing that has not been looked at, although I've suggested it before, is this skate park going behind Bay Village or to the west of the boat ramp. And there is room there for
Mr.
it.
Conway, you say this at every single meeting, and every single meeting I tell you that there is not enough room on that side. Mr. Batista and I went down very early in the morning, right after you suggested it. And we both agreed that there's not enough room, and you can't block the.
Have you had that measured out by the engineer?
I don't have to have it measured out by the engineer. I know that there is not enough room.
How do you know
Let
that?
me
then?
just, this isn't a give and take. This is a discussion.
Every single meeting you mention this, and our engineer overlaid the park at Taylor Avenue, and it would take up 24 parking spots and all of the boat trailer parking spot. It cannot go where you are thinking. It cannot. He overlaid it, and that's what it would take.
Perhaps you can meet with Mr. Conway
I'll be glad to.
and show him the plan in the future.
Is there a site plan for this new location of the skate
There
park
doesn't
on
need to
Walls
be.
Field?
There does not need to be.
Pardon?
There doesn't need to be a new site plan. It's just taking the exact same dimensions and moving it over. There doesn't need to be a new.
Is that going to run north to south?
There's a layout, Rich, that we have that I'll share
Richie.
with you. And
Here you go.
Here, you
It,
want
it's a
one?
hand sketched. It's not a technical site plan, but in effect, it is a site. plan.
You can have it.
There are other issues with this too.
Okay.
Ocean Street is one of the worst flooding streets in Beach Haven. This is not going to help the flooding out. So how are you going to address that? And how are you going to address the parking and the interference that is a dead end street and people going to Little Lake Harbor Yacht Club? Has there been any thought of that?
Yes, there has been. As far as the flooding, there's a pumping station on Pearl Street. We're waiting from one part, and then nuisance flooding will be relieved there.
That's
This
on
park-
Pearl Street.
The way that this park is designed, it's engineered to not drain onto Ocean Street. It will be drained to the ground. It will be hooked up to the sewer underneath Ocean Street, and then it will be drained that way.
Underneath Ocean, they're going to pump it underneath Ocean
30
Street?
No, they're going to attach to the sewer system to drain out the park.
Where, the bulkhead at the yacht club?
Not at the bulkhead at the yacht club.
Then where would they attach it?
Well, I'm not an engineer. That's what would go out to the bid package to formally create that whole process. But I mean, these are things that we're just don't build something without all of these correctly in a bid package. And when they come back, this is all presented.
And one thing we do not know is how well this pumping station is going to work at Pearl Street and where that water is going to be pumped to.
All right, that's time.
Okay, well, this is not a debate. It's just for public comment.
Okay?
Thank you.
This, I can speak for all the people on Ocean Street, including my neighbors to the east of me who cannot be here tonight, are against this location at Walsh Field. Let's leave Walsh Field alone. And I think you can look at this property behind Bay Village and going to the boat ramp and west of that. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard.
Good afternoon, council. Hopefully you are well today. What I would like to
Name and
address,
address.
John O'Hara, 518 Central Avenue, Ship Bottom. What I'd like to address to everybody, and the council knows this very well, all comments made so far about questions have already been answered at the multitude of meetings before this, because all of us that have been
Please direct
to
your comments to the governing body.
the governing body, hopefully you guys will let them know. Everything that is being asked of you guys to consider, you have considered in the past 10 meetings, and you did a great job at considering that. So I hear a lot of snickering in the back and a lot of questions. Even the lawyer that just came up here said all these questions need to be answered. If any of them had showed up to any of the prior meetings, they would have heard that those things were already answered, right? So it's really sad to see that people want these answers and they could have come to any other meeting and already gotten them. Now, the one thing that I think a lot of people are missing here is that we just have to come to some sort of compromise, right? That's all that needs to be done. We are clearly, as skateboarders, willing to compromise to go anywhere and do anything to make this work. And you guys have done a great job at compromising, except the idea of tagging on a basketball court to delay this process even further. Nobody has ever stood up here and begged for a basketball court. So I think that was a really dumb thing to delay the vote last time and then push it further and further and further. So if we can come to a compromise, that'd be great. If people could stop coming up here and asking for resolutions to questions that have already been answered, that'd be great. And if people who cared about this could show up to more than one meeting, that would be great as well. So thank you, council, and thank you, everybody, for the questions you're about to ask that have already been answered. Thank you.
No, there will be no clapping or booing.
Mayor,
We're just, this is for public comment only.
Mayor Davis, could I jump in real fast here? Oh, sorry. Now, the gentleman's comment about compromise, that's what I wanted to get into. But this gentleman's already up here, so we'll let him go ahead.
Thanks. My name is Mark Prue, 1000 South Atlantic in Beach Haven, and I'm 1 for 10. So if you've had 10 previous meetings, this is the first one I've been at. And, you know, I hate to drag us down into the sludge and grind through questions that have already been answered. And I hope there's no snickering in the back. But I did have a question about impervious coverage and what this means to our position, our concerns with impervious coverage. Because I can remember 2.5 years ago, there was a real effort around the space that a home took and that a pool took and how is this counted. And as I understood, that whole effort was around, we want to reduce the impervious coverage in this town because it poses threats to our well-being. My question's simple. What does this mean in terms of impervious coverage?
This isn't really a session where you ask questions and we answer them. It's really just for public comment. And if
Okay,
you
my
wanna come up
comment is,
afterwards, I'd be glad to answer that, or Jamie would as
well,
well.
my comment is then that there was a big concern 2.5 years ago, a big concern. And the sludge that was referenced before, we wrestled through that ad nauseum. So my public comment would be, I hope that engineers and people versed in drainage and ecology and the well-being of our planet have looked at a big swatch of impervious coverage and what that might mean to us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, anybody else? Is there anybody on Zoom that wants to speak? We should go back and forth. Thank you.
Emil Deletto. Emil Deletto.
How are you guys?
You have to hit the volume way up on the
Are you able to
TV.
hear me?
Hang on just a second. We're going to hit your volume up. Start with your name and address, please.
Hey, my name's Emil Christian Deletto. I live at 329 Dock Road in Beach Haven, New Jersey.
Thank you.
All right, so to start off, I'm in support of the skate park here. There's no denying that there's a huge skateboarding community on the island. And I think rather than try to fight against it, we should work to come to a solution that everyone's comfortable with while making sure that this community has an outlet for their interests. This could happen by mandating skaters under 18 to use helmets and other safety precautions that comfort the community while also holding the spirit of skating like that should be discussed and implemented. I've always been a skater my whole life. I've grown up here my whole life. Growing up, my friends and I would literally skate anywhere on the island. It didn't matter if it was in the middle of Bay Village, a building with a stair set, or any road that had the slightest curve in it. We just wanted to find a place to skate. We used to go to the Morning at Light skate park, but only really in the winter because with the lights on in the summer and the summer traffic, it was like 45 minutes each way just to make it down there. And it felt like it made something that we love almost feel like a chore. We ended up spending the summers on the busy sidewalks of town, on the roads. With a skate park location, we would be out of everyone's way. It would reduce the risk of people getting hit by cars. And also skate parks are hard to find. So it would bring more people into Beach Haven, bringing more patrons for businesses, etc. But because this is an important part of my life, I've driven hours to go to a nice skate park, and I've seen enough of these designs to know that we could really make something beautiful. There's a community of skaters of all ages on this island, old and young, and I know it's nearly as important as the surfing culture here. I put it even above the surfing culture, but I know that there's a lot of my friends and I that still surf. I just like to skate more. And as someone who grew up here and fully embraces the town's culture, I really think it would be a perfect fit for our town. And referring to the drainage situation, most skate parks nowadays have a drainage system built into the floor for the sole reason of water not flowing onto the street. And they all work very, very well. So again, I appreciate you guys considering this, and I hope everything goes well, because I think that this would be a great, great, great thing for all the young kids and the older kids like myself in this town.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody in the audience want to speak?
Hello, my name is David Kloss. I live at 22 West Pennsylvania in Long Beach Township. I'm not a skateboarder, but I am the father of 2 skateboarders. And they're great kids and they're a great community. And I think they deserve this, and I am in full support of it. I'm also in my regular life a teacher up in North Jersey. And I come across a lot of kids, and I'll just say this because I'm a little insulted by some of the comments I heard before. Skateboarders are a great community, and they're great kids, and they're great people. And my sons have made great lifelong friends through this activity and through the sport. And I think they'll be great people, and they'll do great things for this town. And I just think they deserve the support of the town council and of you getting in this skate park. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody on Zoom?
Nicole Liedermer.
Hi, yes, Nicole Lightimer, 1210 Treasure Avenue, Ocean Acres on the mainland. I too am not a Beach Haven resident, but my son practically is. He spends several nights a week in Beach Haven with a big group of his friends year round, utilizing your area for skateboarding along with a lot of his friends. A lot of them wanted to be present today, and unfortunately, most of them are working at all of our local businesses. These are great kids. Most of them are on honor roll. Most of them are in sports. Most of them just enjoy utilizing our resources. They spend their money at the local skate shops. The Shack is one of their #1 places to go to. And they'd like to also be able to have a safe place. I would love a safe place where I know that they're not just skating up and down and behind people's houses and in and out of all these other locations. I'm not an engineer. I don't pretend to be, so I won't speak of the semantics as far as the building and the resources, and I'll leave that up to the experts. But I don't want to promote this get off my lawn mentality where it's okay to promote pickleball, it's okay to promote baseball field, it's okay to promote all these things. And there's always a stigma with these skateboarders that they're going to bring in a negative connotation or some negativity to the local area. Our area thrives on the skateboarding and surfing community. As my son is growing in the area, I'm becoming more privileged to see what a tight-knit, great group of people from the young to the old in age. And it's been wonderful being able to drop my son off every night in Beach Haven to utilize your resources that you do have. And hopefully we can expand on that. And I would appreciate you considering. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody in the room? Yes.
Hi, Mayor. My name is Bill Hudson, 23 West Washington Avenue, Beach Haven Inlet. I own Lurie's Island Inn Motel. I've been in this area for about 35 years, and I hear every year we have nothing to do with our young people. There's nowhere to go, nothing to do. I'm appreciative Jamie and Mike are, working on this to try to get this something to do. But, as we're driving around, you see people skateboarding everywhere. They're skateboarding like the nice lady on the Zoom said. They're everywhere skateboarding. It's unsafe as you can get. And I think this is time to end this and give them their skate park. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Anybody on Zoom?
Chris Rutherford.
Good afternoon, Council. It's Chris Rutherford. I just wanted to say that we've worked together and prior
Chris,
council
can you
to
just
provide.
state your address for the record, please?
Oh, yes. You think I should know that. Chris Rutherford, 444 Center Street, Beach Haven, New Jersey.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As I said, we've worked together on council prior to provide recreation for our community. That hasn't taken nearly as long as this has been to bring forth a park for kids, families, and teens to enjoy. The same people who live, work, and support this community have come together in all seasons of this year to request over and over for additional recreation in town. My request is, please, council, make a decision to continue to support the skate park project moving forward or not. I request that there no longer be fence riding because that doesn't help solve anything and just kicks it down the lane. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody in the room? Yes.
Steve Everett, 12 West 14th Street, North Beach Haven. I'm sure at least one or two of the council members are considering voting no or pushing this aside and not moving forward. If you're one of them, I urge you to listen to my comments here and not do it for these reasons. One of those is for this vision of debauchery, drug dealing, and graffiti that's being painted around skate parks. Pennsauken, Medford, Neptune, Ocean City, Long Branch, Toms River, Waretown. How many skate parks, are throughout New Jersey that are not having, and the majority of them are not having issues. Many of these are much closer to cities and more populated areas than Beach Haven. I do not believe that a Beach Haven skate park is going to invite these type of people or invite these types of problems at a spot where a police officer will likely drive by once an hour year round. Also, please, when you're thinking about this, separate the teenage summer crowds that are causing problems at Bay Village. The kids behind us here and the kids that came to you to petition for this are not one and the same. If you're thinking about finance concerns, we have an opportunity to get a grant. If there are more concerns, rather than just move ahead and not go with it, I would urge you to consider any fundraising that the community could do. Carolina Beach, North Carolina has a model right now where they're raising money to increase their skate park. I would talk more about that when I have more than 3 minutes. Liability has come up. There are thousands of skate parks, insurance liability throughout the United States, hundreds in New Jersey. This is certainly a solvable issue. And then finally, concerns of a relatively small number of vocal taxpayers and likely older generation, no disrespect. It just seems to me to make sense that part of the duty of the council is to be steward of the finances, the resources, and the quality of life in your town, both for the current generation and for your future generation. I want to remind us all that it's your future generation and your future taxpayers that brought this to you. It had initial support, and I urge you to do something for the future generation and build these kids a skate park. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Anybody else on Zoom?
Amanda Burden.
Hi, everybody. I'm Amanda Burden, 218 Amber Street. I appreciate that people are taking time with this. I think that's part of what it is when you have a town and you all live together. And I really wanted to get back to that compromise idea. I've been to many of these meetings. I wish I could have made all of them, but I couldn't. I was able to make some of them, and somewhere along the way, this moved from Taylor to Walsh Field. And I don't completely understand that. I'm sorry if I'm taking too slow to understand that, but I don't understand why it had to move. I personally work at a trauma center, so I don't love skateboards. But I thought as a nice compromise, Taylor Avenue, where there's already a fair amount of amusement and there's already sort of some built up areas, that was a reasonable compromise. I think Walsh Field is this residential area. And I think once you put this massive concrete structure with lots of people coming, that's a very different situation. And I think we're so fortunate to have these open spaces, to have these areas that are still natural, that people can still enjoy and experience. And I really do not think that Walsh Field is a good idea. I don't think Ocean Street is a good idea. It's a residential area. It does not make sense. And I don't think that's compromise. I think Taylor was a compromise to the people who'd prefer not to have a skateboard park at all. but okay, you're gonna put it where there's amusements and there's recreation. And I really object to this location for this skateboard park. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody from the audience here?
My name is Jacques Auger, 41 West Delaware Ave, Beach Haven. I've been skating my whole life, and I feels more like the problem about this whole situation is the stereotype of skateboarders and what we're going to do when we're there. And I will tell you firsthand, like all the previous people that said before, these people are genuinely good people. These are the best people I've ever met in my life. The ones that are putting their mind to doing something every single day, being persistent and driven, creates mental fortitude in their everyday lives and whatever they go out to do. All of my friends are very successful people, and they've been skating their butts off since we were kids. And these are the people you want to help, and that's all I'm going to say.
Thank you very much. Anybody on Zoom?
Deb Whitcraft?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, name and address.
Deb Whitcraft, 528 Dock Road, Beach Haven. I don't have an opinion one way or the other about skateboarders, but I know that Walsh Field is a very important field. And the man who said that, you know, there's too many people who haven't attended the meetings, he's wrong. I've attended every single one of them. And Walsh Field is used as a landing zone when we have a fly out. And we have many flyouts for our first aid squad. I've been on the squad for 30 years. I'm the captain of the squad. If you think of putting a skate park down near Richie Conaway's house there, where the basketball court is, that's where the fire trucks and the ambulances go to meet helicopters when we have to fly someone out to a trauma center. So the idea of putting this at Walsh Field, aside from the fact that it is a residential area, I think is absurd. And the person who said that there's nothing to do on Long Beach Island, I take, issue with that. I've grown up on Long Beach Island. I'm 68. Went to school at Ship Bottom Grade School, celebrating my 50-year reunion at Southern Regional High School. You have the ocean on one side, you have on the bay on the other. To even suggest that there's nothing to do on Long Beach Island is just an insult to those of us who have lived here all our lives and had many, many things to do without a skating park. Skating is all fine and good, but to try to guilt us into thinking that we have to have it because there's nothing for kids to do is absolutely absurd. So if you're thinking about putting a skating park near where we have to fly out people on trauma calls, and by the way, all these lovely young people that are of such great character, we have more flyouts of intoxicated and drugged young people than ever before. So don't tell me that there's not a problem with young people. And if you want to attract more young people by building a skate park at Walsh Field, you are just creating more of a problem that is becoming more difficult for us to handle. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody from the audience now? Yes. Got to jump.
Good evening, Ann Pascas, 306 Cove Lane. I just want to say I'm not against the skate park, but the location with firsthand knowledge is not the best. These past weekends, we have had a group of people putting up a badminton net, families playing their badminton game. On the softball field, you have softball fields, you have lacrosse now hitting back and forth, practice young adults right next to the soccer kids. And in the middle of this whole thing, you have a couple of old guys practicing their putting on the green. And then you have kids that are just out there picking up a wiffle ball game. So we have all of this activity going on there. And if you move the location back by the yacht club fencing there and you take out left field does not go back that far. That's where the basketball court is. The kids that play soccer have moved their nets back there. So they include the lacrosse kids that are playing. So you have a multitude of kids doing activities there. And like, you know, right now there's been such a focus on only pickleball. Now there's a focus on skate park. What about all these other kids that are doing all these other activities? And we have created a dog park down there. So every morning there are at least a dozen to 24 people with 30 dogs running around. So now you've eliminated all other activities except the skate park. And I really think you have to think about the location. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody on Zoom?
Jason Murray.
Yes, thank you. Jason Murray, 408 Coral Street. I've
Go ahead.
I've been on these calls for the last couple of years as the council considers this, and I would implore you to take advantage of the grant. I thank Jamie for her tireless efforts in trying to get this skate park over the line. It's been far too long that Beach Haven has not had a facility or an area that could be used for skateboarding without danger to the participants. And the community wants it, especially the local community and the kids there that deserve an opportunity to recreate in whatever manner they want. They may not play basketball or lacrosse or soccer or dog walking, and they like to skateboard. So it would be nice to give them a place to skateboard. I will also sort of like add on to this negative stereotype about skateboarders being sort of this derelict community that causes trouble everywhere they go. There's thousands and thousands of skate parks across the United States that have never had an issue or incident or problem. And I don't think that that fear is validated or warranted for our community in Beach Haven. Yes, there are always bad apples in every group if you look close enough, but I don't think it's fair to paint skateboarders with such a broad brush. I would appreciate you voting to support the skate park. I know it will be used. I'm a lifelong skateboarder. My two sons both skateboard, all of their friends skateboard, and it's been nothing but a positive experience for us. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody? Yes, come forward.
Hi, I'm Kayla Buckley. I'm from 913 Central Avenue in Surf City. I've been a skateboarder for 3 years, so I really don't have a whole lot of experience, but I have found a lot of value in it. With all due respect, there's not a lot of things for kids to do on this island. If you think about it and if you cast your mind back to when you were a kid, you need money, you need transport, you need permission. All of these things I have as somebody who's no longer a kid, who can kind of go out, get in my car, go to a skateboard park if I want to. What these kids need is someplace to go, something to do, something for free, something easily accessible, something that parents can say, yeah, go with a group of friends, be back by 9, right? A skateboard park would be incredible. Me and my friends, to have fun, we go around the block a couple times. That's nice and all, but a skateboard park would be better. I just really encourage you to think about who you were as a kid, what you wanted. What did you want as a kid that you were like, I would have killed to have this. I would have loved to have this. That's what these kids want. That's what the future generations of kids who are going to grow up here are going to end up enjoying. Surfing is a huge community here. It would be wrong to think that skateboarding is a lesser community in comparison. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody on Zoom?
Well said.
Bonnie Wells.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, Bonnie Wells, 333 Pearl Street. I do think the skateboard park is a good idea. I really do, just based on everything that people have said. I agree. just not on Walsh Field. You had brought up about real estate values. I think I can speak into that as an owner of Coastal Living Real Estate Group. And yes, indeed, home values would be affected. The reason why is because right now people have a beautiful tranquil setting out in front, and to put a 5,000 square foot structure, a cement lifted structure up, would not only be unappealing, but it's also, you know, the sound will be an issue. So, but I am for the skateboard park. So the compromise may be that you adjust the size of the skateboard park to fit somewhere else that it's you know, that there is commercial. So you are not affecting people's real estate values. You know, that would be, you know, because we're talking compromise here, but yes, I am in favor, but no, I am not in favor of affecting people's values, or in favor of putting it in Walsh Field for that reason.
Thank you. Okay, anybody in the audience? Yes.
Hi, I'm Zoe Zissis. I live at 28 Taylor Avenue and I've been here for 30 years. I wanted to speak to the concern about the young kids in town as someone who grew up, you know, since I was born. And I remember how tranquil the island used to be, and I've seen the changes, especially Beach Haven has had as we've brought more people into the borough. And I definitely would like to take the time to differentiate between generalizing teenage crowds and skateboarders specifically. I believe that the true skateboarders who will be utilizing this facility are going to have a positive impact on the culture of Beach Haven, as Beach Haven has had a rich culture of surf and skating. And I think that's what has made the town so unique. And I would like to just mention that, like, as someone who lives in essentially the Times Square of Beach Haven now, as it's changed in the past years, I have headaches with a lot of the young kids. But I do, despite that, I genuinely still believe that the skate park would be a positive contribution to the town. And I think just having better patrol of the people who are causing the nuisances is a separate issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody on Zoom?
Richard Wagner.
Yes, hello, Richard Wagner, 310 Essex Avenue, Beach Haven. I would just want to urge the council to complete the study that I think Mayor Davis had recommended be performed, which would be a review of the holistic usage of all the parks in Beach Haven. I grew up skateboarding in Beach Haven. I grew up on, you know, if I look at this myself, I would love to have had a skate park when I was a child. I think this is a great idea. I just think it's the absolute wrong place for it. And I urge the council to be creative, because I look at Bay Village, and I know there's been a lot of discussion around whether Bay Village is appropriate and whether it could be constructed there. How creative have we been? I look at Panzones Park. I don't see any use of that park except for once a year for Chowderfest. That used to be a ballpark when we thought teens wanted to play baseball. We had a ballpark there. That's what it was for. It was for teen entertainment and activity. Why wouldn't a skate park be appropriate there? Why couldn't Panzones Park be broken up, moved back and aggregated with the park back on the bay, turn that into parking, create more space for it? Why couldn't the basketball courts be moved maybe to Walsh Field, where they're more appropriate with tennis? Those are all the kind of things that I think the town should be considering versus just looking at where is there some open space where we can plop a skate park so that we can fulfill this need. Beach Haven's fortunate. We have a district that is dedicated to entertainment and to amusements. That's the perfect place for this kind of land use. It belongs in that area where it's not going to be disruptive to the neighborhood. And the question I kind of asked this council is, if we build the park in Walsh Field, why is there an expectation that the ultimate outcome of this is going to look much different than what's been happening on Nelson Avenue with pickleball? We really think we're going to be able to have some discussion 2 years from now about expanding the skate park, put in the bowl section, where we're not going to be in litigation just as we are in Walsh Field, where the neighbors aren't going to be in to the town council every meeting complaining about the parking and all the disruption caused by that. That's all because it's not the appropriate place. I really urge the council to look very creatively at other options, specifically putting the skate park in Bay Village where it fits the land use of the entertainment zone.
Thank you. Somebody from the audience? Okay, I see a hand.
I'm not from around here. I'm from Southampton, Pennsylvania.
Okay, well, state your name and address.
Missy Luttrell from Southampton, Pennsylvania. I come here, I rent 3-4 weeks a year, every year. I'm 55 years old, every year. My son is 27 years old. He's the head technician for Mercedes-Benz in the tri-state area and is obsessed with skateboards. And he skateboards every time we come here. I know I don't really have a big place. Everybody else has like their properties that are at stake or whatever, but skateboarding on Long Beach Island is very important to a lot of people. My son is extremely intelligent and extremely successful and loves to skateboard. That was it. I mean, the kids do need something to do. He's 27, he's not a kid anymore, but he's my kid. So they're good kids. He makes a great living and that's all.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody on Zoom?
Oh, I see a repeat, so we'll keep.
If there's a repeat, we'll have somebody else from the audience. Anybody else in the audience want to speak? Okay, I see a hand in the back. I can't see any more than a hand. Thank you.
Hi, Bridget Johnson, 334 Ocean Street. I've been here to, probably most of the meetings in the last year or so, or on Zoom. So I do understand the skateboard culture, and I'm not against skateboarding. I'm not against the skateboard park. I just don't feel that Walshfield, a residential area, is the right place for it. I'm a bit concerned about the new plan. That seems to be kind of a surprise. Thought the chief of police had at one point said, we were looking at Walshfield and that it should be closer up to the boulevard so it could be monitored a little bit better. And it would be at least not right in the middle of a residential area. It would be more on the boulevard. All the neighbors weren't too happy about that, but we're like, okay, maybe it'll work. Now it's pushed back against a dead-end street that has major flooding. I just don't think it's the right place. I mean, I've sent pictures to council every time it floods down there. We don't have the facts about the new pumping station, if it's actually going to work on Ocean Street. I mean, every time it floods, it starts to go into my property's a little bit higher. Poor Rich Conway, his garage is flooded every time it's either high tide or it rains. And if there's any more ground taken away with it, the impervious coverage and this large amount of cement, even if it's raised, which that had been discussed, I mean, the water has to go somewhere. And until we have actual hard facts to see if any of this pumping will work, I just think it needs to be relooked at. I don't think a residential area is the right place. And it's also very loud. I mean, the pickleball players were complaining down at Nelson and they somehow seem to get their way. I mean, I don't want to say anything. I'm also a pickleball player, but I don't think a pickleball court was the right place for Walshfield either. I mean, it's for baseball, tennis, and all the other activities that are already there. I think you're just cramming too much in a residential area. My kids, they did skateboarding. I mean, they're young adults now, but I mean, they probably would have liked it too, but I don't think they would have wanted right in front of their house, which I'm sure a lot of you members wouldn't have wanted either. I think that's about all I have to say, but I think you really need to look at another location. Jamie, I know you've done a lot of work on this and I appreciate that, but I just don't think Walshfield is the right place. I think the park committee that has been talked about needs to be formed and come up with, like they say, a compromise. Thank you.
Anybody on Zoom?
No, we have a repeat.
Okay,
so
anybody
we'll
else
keep
on
going.
the audience then?
We'll go here.
Yes.
Yep.
Hi, Emil Deletto, 329 Dock Road.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Emil Deletto.
Okay.
329 Dock Road. And I don't really have much to say about the location, but I understand about it. But the sport is a big culture of the town. And, even the baseball field, they shut that down, but skating is this kind of atmosphere. And I'm not a skater, but my son is. And I built a skate ramp in my backyard and they made me take it down. But the bottom line, it is a big culture in this town. And that should be considered. Thank you.
Anybody on Zoom? Bonnie Lenhart.
Good afternoon. I've sat here and listened to everybody that.
I need your
came up.
name and address for the
Oh,
record, please.
Bonnie Lenhard, 115 Fairview Avenue.
Go ahead.
I find it really rich that people from Southampton, Pennsylvania, Ocean Acres, Long Beach Township, Ship Bottom, Beach Haven Inlet, North Beach Haven, and Surf City come up and tell us that they want us to put a skateboard park in Beach Haven. The green space in Beach Haven, there's so little of it. And now you want to take more of it and cover it with concrete. Do you understand the beautiful view from Bay Avenue across Walsh Field, across the yacht club to the boats? That'll be decimated. Nobody is against skateboarders. I don't know where this whole idea started. What they're against is putting it in Walsh Field. And the other question I have is, how did it become Beach Haven's job to provide a skateboard park for skateboard people outside of the island almost and outside of the borough? Skateboard park should be a place where there's lots of land. If all these people on the island wanted to skateboard, why didn't they go to the one over in Egg Harbor Township? I mean, Beach Haven is too small an area to put up a skateboard park like this. Plus, I don't understand spending $500,000 for this. There's so many other things in Beach Haven that you could spend $500,000 on. And if you're worried about this grant for $75,000, take it and go put it on water fountains in all the parks. Put it on misters on water parks. But, and to say that these children need it, please. There is so much for these children to do in Beach Haven and on this island, just like they are the same children no matter where you go. Children today need more time from their parents and attention from their parents. But I grew up on a farm. I never felt, oh, woe is me. Somebody's got to provide me with entertainment. I find it ridiculous. And I think if you put this park in Beach Haven, long range, it will be the ruination of this town. This town is not a skateboard town. Somebody else can put the skateboard park on the mainland where there's more land. It's not our job to provide that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Next.
Hi, my name is Matt Pakelja, 411 Holyoke Avenue. I want to just thank the council for continuing to entertain this. I want to point out, I think the impetus of this entire project came from the Beach Haven school kids, who I can say, because I have 3 of them in 1st grade, 4th grade, and 6th grade, that are looking for things to do here in the off season. They are kind of loitering around. And I think the fact that they kind of went through this process, it was sort of like a little civics project for them to go through the whole planning phases and everything. And it is a little bit disappointing to have it kind of kicked down the lane for so long, but we also understand that there's a lot of constituents that have to weigh in and you have to make an informed decision. I think that the point about everyone else who's here from different towns, we appreciate the support. We appreciate the support for these kids who are looking for things to do. My children don't skate, but they would skate if they had a skateboard park. And I think they're looking for opportunities to get outside, be around their friends, and find more things to do. If there's concerns about riffraff coming into town, causing trouble, I would imagine that if that's a concern for the council, you should probably be looking at the most vulnerable people here in town, right? The children and the parents of those children. And I don't know that there's many parents in this town who live here year round who are expressing those concerns, being worried about riffraff coming into town and causing disturbances. I think the skateboard and surf community has been incredibly embracing of us, our children, and the kids that are in this school. And I think it'll be a really good addition to the culture here in town. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sue?
Phil Lipschitz.
Hello, council. My name is Philip Lipschutz. Me and my fiance have a house on 43 South 3rd Street in Surf City. I'm calling in from Cincinnati, Ohio. I am a resident and born and bred from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I visit your beautiful island for the last 5 years, just about every month, as my fiance is from the island and her family still lives in the island. The reason I'm calling in today is I own a skateboard shop and have built 3 skateboard parks here in Cincinnati, Ohio. And my whole life since started skateboarding have worked with at-risk youth teenagers through skateboarding. With my research and everything that I've done here for my community in Cincinnati, we're the heroin epidemic of our nation. And we've seen a change in the youth from drug users into skateboarding. This past year, the #1 watched thing on the Olympics was skateboarding. It broke the World Cup record. Japan is competing to dominate the whole world in skateboarding. They teach it in their schools. So the only reason I'm here to voice my opinion, to me, Beach Haven is where everybody who's not from Long Beach Island goes to visit and see everything. And to me, that's where I see the future of your community. That's where I see the most young adolescent kids. And I just see so much culture. And I see these kids not having a place to go skateboard and express themselves. Without skateboarding, you know, I probably wouldn't be alive today. Skateboarding saved my life, and it saved many, many kids that I work with here in Cincinnati. So I'm just here today to call in and advocate about what a positive skateboarding can be for the youth and the culture of kids that are growing up in today's world. So thank you for your time, and I wish you all, Long Beach Island, the best of luck on your skate park, okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi, Chestnut Van Bramer. I'm from 226 North 10th Street, Surf City. I just want to voice my support for the skate park and also point out that a lot of the people who are saying kids have plenty to do have not been kids for a really long time. And all of the people who are saying that kids need things to do are kids right now. So I want to caution the council on who you listen to on that part. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else on the Zoom?
Terry Fisher.
Terry Fisher, 329 Pearl Street. I just want to say that it's always location, location, location. I'm not against the skateboard park. I just really believe that we have a beautiful Walsh Field. It's just a beautiful, beautiful field. And I think that putting a skateboard park would destroy the beauty of the field. I think a compromise is where you need to be. And I think maybe a smaller skateboard park and revisit other options that we haven't really heard of any others besides Walsh Field, even though at some point they were getting a committee together to review that. But, and I have to venture to say also that I don't know that a lot of people are against the skateboard. I don't think it's a battle. I just think it's the plan on where you want to put it. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Lance, do you want to limit it to three more here, because we have quite a bit of business to do and haven't
We
taken
can
a
do
vote
that.
yet.
I hate to do that, but 3 more in the audience, 3 more in Zoom. Okay. You're next. That's all right. You're next. Okay. Go ahead.
Hi, Sharon Ryan, 333 Pearl Street. I just wanted to say that we do continue to hear the negative effects of a skate park at Walsh Field, and for several reasons that we've spoken of and I've spoken of in the last meetings. We've also heard of a new skate park that just opened in Little Lake Harbor Yacht Club, and they're already having, or Little Lake Harbor Township, and they are having problems with it. So there is a valid reason for our concerns. I also appreciate that there's been a grant and that $70,000 is a good amount of money. However, it is just 14% of the cost of the skate park. So there's going to be a lot more money that's needed to complete it. Less than a year ago, Taylor Avenue was the proposed site. Imagine our surprise when midwinter, it was suddenly changed to Walsh Field. So many of us didn't know that change, which is why we've been coming now. The Taylor Avenue site did have several advantages over Walsh Field. There would be no impervious coverage, additional impervious coverage at Walsh or at Taylor Avenue. And that alone would keep Beach Haven's dwindling green spaces intact, along with its only baseball field. Also, Taylor Avenue isn't situated on a flooded area that was once a creek, as is Walsh Field. The area at Taylor Avenue is a commercial space with few houses, and it is also regularly patrolled by the police force. And as skate park advocates have noted, skate parks need to be in visible areas. I think you've mentioned that, Jamie. So this way, either at Taylor Avenue, the police force is already there, and they would not have to split their resources to come to Walsh Field also and patrol that. And we just want our parks to be safe. It seems that the police force is already taxed with patrolling unsupervised kids right now in town, and that is a concern. Moving forward, what needs to transpire to return the skate park to its original location of Taylor Avenue? That was the proposed site. We've noted the increase in size of the skate park over the original proposal, so perhaps a scaled down version is what's needed on Taylor Avenue. By the way, over the weekend, all 7 tennis courts were busy, along with the ball field. There were multiple games that were being played on Walsh Field throughout the weekend. Outfielders were actually standing in right field. I have a picture of it, where the staked out area of the skate park was. Over the weekend, there were several players who expressed disappointment regarding the poor conditions at the ball field. One group even brought their own orange cones so that they could use those for bases. Another group of men had their own bags.
30 seconds.
Just wondered when we can look forward to having maintenance of the field and the bocce courts in the borough. As we've noted before, most of the skate park advocates who have spoken at meetings are not tax-paying residents of Beach Haven. With that in mind, there would appear to be a large number traveling from various municipalities all the way to Beach Haven just to skate. What needs to happen to this proposed project and put it in an area other than Beach Haven where green space is more plentiful, or to propose a joint venture between municipalities? Have you guys even done that or looked into that? I don't think so.
That's your time. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Morton.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Mark Morton, Beach Haven resident and taxpayer of Fort Little Island.
Go ahead.
I'm the father of
Go ahead.
two skateboard.
Mhm.
I also skateboard, and I appreciate the discussion today and look forward to the decision. I'm obviously calling to support the park, and I really appreciate all the young people and parents who have spoken so supportive of the park today. I believe that the council can find the right spot for this park, and I also believe that the council can find a way to badge or prioritize the kids of this town. And I want to just kind of remind everyone that, or remind council or voters tonight that all the kids in this town that surf, they also skate. So I just really want to point out that those things go hand in hand. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now, who was it? Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Nancy. My name is Gail Branley, 210 Ocean Street here in Beach Haven. I have been to every meeting and I'm confused, and I'm wondering if I'm the only one. It feels like we've got two very separate topics going. One is, do we want a skateboard park or the location? And I feel like until we kind of divide those or minimize our our vision. I don't know how we're ever going to come to a decision. Just as a comment about Beach Haven, I grew up down here. It was the beach in the bay. You know, the Eastern Seaboard is, we're fortunate to have both. Most don't. They're cut in half. So I will continue to watch and be as instrumental as I can and try to clear up some of my confusion. Thanks very much.
Stacy O'Connor.
Hello, I'm Stacy O'Connor, 100 Ocean Street. I guess the question that I feel like council should be looking at is, you know, not only are the properties, the residential properties right around Walsh Field, you know, very valuable, and we should be concerned about protecting the homeowners in that area, the property values. But it's a tremendous asset for Beach Haven as well. And I don't think that we should engage in development of an enormous asset of our town without really contemplating how we want to develop it, or if we want to develop it. You know, there are a number of concerns in terms of flooding. You know, there are a number of ways you could develop a resource like Walsh Field with impervious coverage in mind. You know, you could look at more community garden space. You could look at a fitness trail. You could look at a dog park. There are ways to use that beautiful piece of property that don't involve building a huge concrete structure there. And, you know, when other towns are dismantling these big things, I just think that we have to be really financially responsible to the vision of our town, responsible to protecting our resources, protecting our views. So I would just love to see like a more responsibly developed plan of what we want from our open space. I understand that the kids want a skate park. I don't think this is the right place. I would like to see a more holistic, developed plan about how we're utilizing our open space before we just put this really, really immovable structure there. And my other concern is that I feel like in order for our council and our government to have proper respect, that anyone that is too close to this project should contemplate recusing themselves from this vote. Because if you are so married to this project because of your personal interests, then that is not responsible government to vote in favor for something that doesn't represent the best interests of our town. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more person. The young man in the very back, I know he asked first. This discussion will continue.
My volunteer friend, Donnie.
What?
Should I get Donnie out here?
Was the two of you?
We can't.
No,
No,
just
instead.
I'll go.
Is that he wants-
Instead, okay, all right.
Even though we've heard him a thousand
That's
times.
it. That's it for the room. Okay, thank you.
All right. Hello, council. By the way, Don Miller, I own Surf Shack South on 325 9th Street in Beach Haven. First, I want to start by just thanking the whole skateboard community for coming. Once again, I want to say this is the 5th time that we have filled the room to show everybody that this is something that our kids, the community, families want. There is a clear desire. Obviously, there's always going to be opposition, but some of the pretty vile vitriol that's been spewed at our community, and every single one of the people who have been proponents of this park, who have come up and spoken today, have stayed above the fray and have been nothing but respectful in the face of that. And guys, it's super commendable. So you guys should all be, proud of yourselves. Ultimately, it sounds like this is going to come down to Walsh or not at all. I know people want to say they want to continue thinking about it. That's just a fancy way of saying no at this point. The grant will expire. If it is not here, then it is nowhere. We could start the process all over again, but Jamie is spent, and not a single person in this room is going to blame her for being spent. I understand Walsh Field is in a residential area. It is also a park. I don't know how this is getting missed here. We're speaking as if Walsh Field is just this completely empty field that no one is using for already existing recreational activities. There is a softball field there now, so we cater to softball players. There is a basketball court and there are 6 tennis courts. We're adding one additional recreational activity to an already existing recreational field. We can't sit here and act like as if this field has just been sitting empty. All of the concerns that a lot of the older members of the community who are homeowners, we hear. We vehemently disagree with most of your assessments. The idea that this will affect your property value is something that I have never seen a shred of data to suggest is true. It has not happened in Barnegat Light. It did not happen in Little Egg Harbor. It did not happen in Ocean City. If you go to any major realtor type site, realtor.com, Zillow, Open Door, etc., you can literally filter for proximity to park, not because it is a negative, because it is something that people seek out. If you want to build and grow a vibrant community, you need to literally cater to young families. Again, even though we have been denigrated quite a bit by some people on Zoom and a few in the room, we still respect all of the people who are property owners on this island. We appreciate the property tax revenue that goes to pay for
30
everything.
seconds.
Keep in mind, we might not own homes, but we are the people who check on the sizes for your sandals. We repair your bikes. We clear your tables. We pour your drinks. We are the people who make this community so good that you actually care so much about it. So we have no desire to ruin something that we actually have sought to build. So council, just before you vote, just consider, has there been a single business that has suggested that they do not want this park? Has there been a single person who has school-age children who have suggested that they do not want this? Has there been a single person under the age of 40 who has said anything but positive about this park?
That's time. Don.
Unfortunately, it is a generational type thing. I know some of you are part of that generation. So we have to ask you to just consider the rest of us that you don't maybe get to see in a social aspect every day and probably after this meeting.
Thank you.
We will be opening the floor for public
you.
comment again later. No, but we have to move on to the next part of the agenda. Yes. Amanda Burden. I don't remember. Yeah, is that okay?
Hi, Amanda Burden, 218 Amber Street. I just wanted to agree with, I think it was Bonnie Wells. I forget his name, the gentleman on, I think it was Exeter Street, and somebody else who said we need to think differently about this, maybe find a small size, really think we have to move this away from the residential area and not place this concrete structure on the residential area and get creative and think about what will fit in the area that was initially proposed, that there was some agreement around, which is the Taylor Avenue area. And I totally agree with whoever said that this grant, it's great to hear about the grant, but it's like 15% of the total cost, and who knows what the ongoing maintenance will be. It's not worth being pressured by that money. There seems to be huge opposition to this Walsh Field idea, and yet there's support for the skateboard park idea. I would call that a really nice compromise, and I would figure out a way to put it in a place that people can agree on. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll move to the next item.
Well, we need to decide on this item.
What do we have to decide?
I think Jamie would like to, well, you need to execute a grant agreement, so.
We're not voting on this item tonight, are we?
Yes.
Well, okay. You want to?
Okay, can I just mention something here? Because it seems to me, and I'll probably get my head ripped off for this, but I already brought it up once at an engineering meeting. I think there is a compromise. And I think, I do not like the Walsh Field location. I think Taylor Avenue is the place for it to be. I've been over there numerous times, and I feel that the area just east of the boat ramp, all the way up to, I think, well, where there's a coffee, used to be an ice cream place, whatever, would do it. Now, I did discuss this with Jamie, and she said it won't fit. Here's where the compromise comes in. You're going to have to modify the design. This way, it's on impervious surface, and we are giving up about, I think it was 22 like boat length places, and then 6 along the side. So here's the part that's really going to upset people. I would say take the old Little League field, excuse me, because I know it's been mentioned, that was always designed for kids to use. The fact that it hasn't been used in like maybe the last 20 years, okay, put shells down. Don't pave it, don't make it a parking lot, put shells in there so we can use it seasonally for parking. And then for Chowder Fest and all the other events that come up, I know there's a sprinkler system. Sprinkler systems are not a big deal. I've had mine moved a couple times. And I think we can accommodate the kids. Now, I don't know what ages. I mean, if this is going to be something for a lot of, older kids, no, it probably won't do that. And I think because I know you have the professional designer, that they can sit down and come up with something that we can all live with. I think that is the best compromise. And I've heard several people mention it. And that's what I truly believe. I just have to mention, Chris, you said this is the longest recreational project. Now, the tennis courts took 15 years to be finished, so not even close. But I know the frustration of people keep coming here. Yes, no, yes, no. I say we can do it. Move the location.
Thank you.
Holly, this is you keep saying this and we keep having the same discussion, but you have not once been to any meeting involved in the design of this park. So for you to just keep saying we can do it, you have not been involved in any of the design meetings, meeting with Frank, nothing. So for you to just eyeball it and say that that can happen.
Well, what I have done.
Please, we can't have people yell out from the audience. The council.
No, I have been to the Barnegat Light Park, which is much smaller in design. I went over to the Little Egg Park, and that area over there is pretty comparable. So I'm saying it's not going to be what you have shown, but I think if we can come up with a compromise, modify it.
But this is the smallest park that you can possibly design. Like these parks, normal skate parks are like 10,000 to 25,000 square feet. You've seen them. We've talked about this. This is a small neighborhood park. There's a whole manual that I read to do this. It's on Tony Hawk's website. I think I sent it to you. There's all different size parks. This is the small neighborhood park. It has to be a certain size for safety reasons. Barnegat Lights Park would not be able to be built today because you need 5 feet from the attraction to the fence, according to JIF insurance regulation, which I've met with the insurance, like I've done all these meetings. So for you to say like, oh, we can just put it here. No, you cannot just put it at Taylor. Originally, when it was scheduled to be at Taylor, serpentined around the park and the swing set, it can't go there because of the JIF insurance requirements. It has to be fenced in. There has to be a 5-foot buffer from the park to the fence. I've done all of this legwork. So it can't be smaller. It can't be put originally at Taylor because of the insurance. And you can't have a park like Barnegat Light any longer because of the insurance requirements.
Well, what if we moved it farther back into the parking area and still kept?
I told you, I sent you that. We did overlay it at Taylor Park. And if you're willing to take away 24 parking spots and 4 boat trailer spots, then we'll put it at Taylor. The chief does not want it at Taylor. It's like Times Square, whoever mentioned that. That's pretty accurate. It is mayhem down there. Why would I set it up for failure? But if you're willing to compromise, I would take 24 parking spots and boat ramp. I don't think that that's appropriate.
No, I don't either. I would say that's when we start using that field. Like I said, put shells down. I know, so we don't do impervious or, excuse me.
Take it and put it where the green space is in the middle of Taylor.
No. If it's the only way it'll work, take the boats, where the road goes through between the park and the first row of parking, kind of right off from the boat ramp.
That's where it was overlaid, and the Frank overlaid it there, and you have to have ingress and egress. You can't just block.
Right. Well, I'm saying that however it is, but I mean, to the minimum requirement. I don't think we need a grandiose skate park. I think whatever the minimum is, if that's what you say.
That's the minimum.
Okay, well, I think maybe something can be done there, but we're going to have to use the old ball field for parking because we can't give up that much parking. And that's why I said, put the shells down so we're not paving it. I agree. That's not a great idea. Keep it open for Chowder Fest. And I think that's a decent compromise.
Anybody else on council want to speak?
I do.
Okay, Kitty.
Skaters are a great community. You can believe that I believe that or not, Donnie and everyone else, but this does feel drawn out. And I have written some things because it does make me nervous. So I am going to read it. This does feel drawn out. It has been drawn out because we all really want to be able to support the project if it works for a lot of different reasons. Previous council was going to push this through. You had the majority of support. They were going to push it through, in my mind, regardless, and made sure to appropriate the funds without, in my opinion, really asking the taxpayers and residents. Before I decided to run for office, I spoke to Jamie, Dan, and even Donnie, and they can all attest, as Steve Everett mentioned tonight, that I've never really been in complete support of the park in Beach Haven. Not because I believe that you don't know how to behave and that I don't appreciate and love skateboarding. That is not true. Again, believe it or not, I don't really care. I have told Donnie, I've told Jamie, I have told Dan that I was not fully on board, and my support is due to many concerns that I had. Not because I'm anti-children, not because I'm anti-sports. I'm not worried about debauchery by skaters. I thought maybe they could convince me, since being on council, Jamie has tirelessly looked for location after location. And I applaud her for that. I have tremendous respect for Jamie. And that's why I've been struggling about this since January. This is not personal for me, and top of my list is support the needs and best interests of kids. I've spoken to police officers, public works employees, administrators, school board members of Beach Haven, engineers, and far too many citizens of Beach Haven to count, including kids on both sides of the fence. Overwhelmingly, the majority of people who put us in office, like it or not, are against this. The number one question I ask myself is, what would the town's people want me to do? Even if I don't agree with it. It's our job, in my opinion, to put the best interests of our constituents and their families first. When you weigh the cost, liability, parking problems, location detriment, and the number of people in our own town that it will truly benefit from this, the skate park, these valid concerns about the skate park, in my opinion, unfortunately outweigh the benefits. Sorry. I've heard loud and clear the wishes of the people who live in Beach Haven. And that is, this is not the time, and this is not the location. They just can't find the right spot for it. Based upon that, I'm sorry, but I cannot support it.
Okay, no clapping, please.
Wow. Okay. I would like to see a skateboard park, just like Kitty would like to see a skateboard park. And I applaud Jamie for everything that she's doing to try to find a place where we can squeeze a skateboard park into 1 square mile. And that is a problem, clearly. The people that are supporting the skateboard park are supporting an activity that I agree with 100%. The people that are opposing it are because their property values, their lifestyles are going to be affected. So the decision here I have heard is make a decision. You're not doing your job by allowing this thing to continue. I disagree with that because we have really been trying to find a location that works for this. And Kitty mentions that. Now, Kitty has come to the conclusion that there probably isn't a location. I'm an optimist. Maybe there is a location, but if we have to make a decision tonight, I have to agree with what Kitty said. There isn't a location that I can say, let's vote yes on this without creating chaos in town. So we need to either continue to look, maybe we need to postpone this for a while and continue to look, right? Maybe we do need to design some other kind of skateboard that fits in our little square mile postage stamp. I don't know, I'm not a skater, but I do remember back in the 70s, we had a big half pipe. Is that skating? Will that work? maybe we can fit that somewhere. A compromise certainly is somewhere for this. A full-blown skate park in Walshfield, there's been too much opposition to it. Too many people have voiced their opinion against it, as many as have voiced their opinion for it. And I cannot support that much conflict on both sides.
Thank you. And I'll just make a couple comments myself. I agree with Mike. I am an optimist. I do not think by not allowing it in Walshfield doesn't mean that we can't have a skateboard park. I really want to see a skateboard park. I really think it's a great thing for the kids in the area to have. And so I would like to keep looking. I do think there's got to be other options. Kitty and I met with some gentlemen yesterday that are experts in parks, and we're trying to put together a committee to look at all the parks. And we talked about the skateboard park, and they came up with some ideas as well. So I don't want to put this to bed. I don't want to vote tonight because I would have to vote no, as Mike and Kitty and I think Colleen feel. And I think Colleen's comments were very good. I think in our hearts we want the skateboard park. We want it for you guys, but we've got to find the right location. I see no difference between the people that live around Walshfield not wanting it as the people that live around Nelson Park not wanting more pickleball. And I think we dropped the pickleball issue because we saw that meant a lot to those neighbors. I think it's the same deal basically around Walshfield. But I think there are places where we can probably figure out a way to put in a decent skateboard park. So I just don't want to vote on this tonight because I don't want to vote no to the skateboard park. I vote no to the location. And I think we had a comment in the audience saying that, there's two issues here. Do we want a skateboard park? Yes. Do we want it at that location? No. And so I don't think there's a huge rush. Yes, we might lose the grant. And but it's 14% of it. I mean, to vote on this now, and because of a little bit of money, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And the other thing I'm thinking is there a way we could have a pop-up skateboard park? It wouldn't be a permanent one that we could establish after the summer was over when things calm down here. So the local kids would have a place to skateboard and see how that works. Maybe when things clear out, you've got a lot of room over on Taylor Avenue in the parking lot. And maybe that grant, maybe we could talk to the people issuing the grant to deal with a pop-up skateboard park. So I do think there's some options, see how that works, and then keep looking at this and figuring out where would be the best place. That's my thing. So what do we do?
Jamie, did you have anything to add?
What else? Not, I don't.
Okay.
No.
I think,
don't know what
I
to
think we
say.
heard what we needed to hear. Jamie, if you don't have anything to add, we'll move on to the next item.
Okay, all right. Okay, so the next item is relating to the Taxpayers Association.
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll just give them a minute.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. We all listened to everything you said. Thank you.
I gotta go
I don't know, if you want the decision, then you get a decision. I don't know. You want a decision, you get a decision. Bottom line, most of the town doesn't.
The meeting is not over yet. We're going to continue. We're just waiting for the noise to settle down. Thank you.
Kitty, what about hearing from all Beach Haven residents first on a topic?
I think it's fine. And it's in the. Announced we were all Beach Haven residents. Yet. And they come.
Thank you so much.
Doesn't work.
In the township, they don't let anybody.
I'd let everybody talk, but I'd have each residents first.
It's really hard to do.
Nancy, do you want me to wait for Jamie to come back before we continue? Or do you want me to go ahead?
There's a retirement park.
I know. So we should continue.
Okay. We've received a letter from the Beach Haven Taxpayers Association of June 6th. We did receive one the month prior and I did respond to it, but this next one had a little more detailed requests for information. So I felt that the best way is to handle it as a group. So the first item on their letter is regarding marina pump out reports. Says we have received the borough's response to our Oprah request pertaining to these pump out reports. We are wondering why the only reports came from the Queen City Marina. What about all other marinas in town in which people live on or spend a considerable amount of time on their boats? So just for some background, I did dictate that section 112 of the code states that any houseboat or other boat that is occupied or used as a dwelling place or as living quarters for one or more persons, that such vessel shall provide pump out reports upon request from the borough. In other words, the vessel itself would be responsible for providing the reports. Irrespective of the code, vessels such as this could be moored at 3 locations at Beach Haven Yacht Club, the Shelter Harbor or Queen City Marina. And all 3 of these marinas, we did send courtesy letters requesting documents, pump out report documents. I did not. Queen City provided the courtesy documents as requested. Shelter Harbor indicated that they had no vessels fitting this description, nor a pump out station, while Beach Haven Yacht Club did not respond. I have not been made aware of any vessel meeting this description for which pump out reports could be obtained. And furthermore, all marinas and vessels must comply with state and federal regulations and could be subject to fines since Barnegat Bay is a no discharge zone. So it is the vessel that would have to file pump out reports, and without some idea of what vessel I should be looking at, it seems like an impossible task to try to request a pump out report. I'm not sure how else to address their concern.
Anybody have any comments on this?
I
mean, it's
I think it's a valid concern that anyone living on a boat properly discharges their waste material.
So how do I request a pump out report from a vessel?
That's a good question.
Well, I think we can look into it. I mean, I do think certain marinas do keep.
And I put out the request for information and that is what I got back and that is what I provided.
Right, I know. But maybe we can.
Maybe code enforcement has to get on that one.
Right, there you go.
Anybody know anything about that?
We can look into it further.
Yeah, I have no idea. But we should definitely, certainly, and they must be asking for a reason, a concern about.
It makes sense. It's law.
So if there's a particular vessel that is of concern, I think I'd like to know that. Maybe that would help.
Okay.
Narrow it down.
What does the commercial vessels, what do the commercial vessels do?
I don't know.
I think the commercial vessels are very careful about following the rules with pump out. If it's somebody that's in a, might
Does
not-
the Beach Haven Yacht Club have a pump out station?
Yes.
Yes, I think all of them do.
No,
Yeah.
there's only 2 pump out stations, one in the beach.
Can you
Haven
use your
Yacht Club,
microphone, Jamie?
One in the Beach Haven Yacht Club and Queen City Marina. It's 2
So-
pump out stations. And they're heavily regulated by the state of New Jersey.
So we did request the reports from the correct facilities.
Yes.
So Shelter Harbor does not have a pump out station.
I don't know.
They should, but there
I would
there
think
has
that
to be a
they
way
should.
to deal with their waste. There has to be.
Yeah,
They
how's
can't
that
just pump it
possible?
into the bay.
Well,
They
they
can't.
can.
Well, they
No,
can, but I mean,
It's a
if they are, they're really, I mean, they would be under.
And I was under the impression there was also a pump out, like boat,
There's a
mobile
pump out boat. I see it
Yes.
over in Tuckerton all the time. Yeah.
that
there are
comes
pump out
and
boats.
provides the service as well.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make you aware of the request for information and what has been done about it so far.
Okay.
The next one is about the Affordable Housing Trust Account. In reviewing the response to our Oprah request, we see there is a balance in the amount of $2 million in this account. Could you share with us the borough's plan to allocate this money? It is our understanding that another town could petition the courts to secure these funds for themselves. This board has various ideas on the issue and would like to perhaps meet with you and the mayor or council to discuss this topic. So I did speak with our COA solicitor and also our administrative agent, and they provided us with the most updated copy of our spending plan. That is how the money is already allocated. Our spending plan is approved by the court, so it cannot easily be changed unless approved by the court. It includes a slice of the pie for a rehab program, affordable development subsidies, housing activities such as land purchase or affordability assistance, other assistance programs like rental assistance programs, security deposit assistance programs, and closing cost programs, and administrative expenses. In this, our attorney responded about whether another town could petition the courts to take our funds from us. He says a litigant can petition a court for anything, including frivolous things, but the statute provides a remedy for unused trust monies or uncommitted monies, and the monies escheat to the state, not directly to the neighboring municipality. So that is not correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so I encourage you to take a look at that spending plan. It was adopted by the court. All
Thank
right,
you.
so you know how the pie is sliced up.
I'm comfortable with the $2 million that we have. I hope that we can continue to grow that money. And I hope that we continue to work on our affordable housing requirement. And I think there are plenty of ways that we can go about doing that. So I'm very comfortable with this.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have, I mean, I think that if we don't use any of it for a long period of time, that certainly we would be red flagged and they would probably come in and take some of that money or try to. So I think it's, yeah, I know that we are working towards,
Yes,
you know,
we provide affordability assistance. We provide down payment assistance.
Right.
We provide subsidy to developers to produce the units.
yeah, I'd like
We
to know
use-
if we can use it for the HOA fees. So, you know, but
No,
I
No,
guess
we can't.
based upon what we received the other, yeah, I thought, well, I was told
But
that
we can
we
use it
can't.
for other things so that other
Yeah,
things are
which is a
reduced.
shame.
we could use it for administrative
fees are
cost,
outrageous.
acquisition of land, but we know in Beach Haven,
Right.
not the whole pies for acquisition of land. So we don't
Right.
have enough in the trust to do it yet.
Right.
Their next request was about the land use board attorney and the employment criteria. We received your request to our Oprah, your response to our Oprah request, excuse me, on resume and application for employment, and are questioning what was the definitive rationale on determining this was the superlative choice for the board's attorney. So we did advertise for a request for proposals.
Who's making that request? That's
This is the Beach Haven Taxpayers Association, yes, representing the taxpayers. We did advertise for a request for proposals for our land use board solicitor this year. And we did prepare bids and specs for them to put in their proposal. And the criteria was, number one, qualifications of the individuals or firms who will perform the service or activity, experience and references, ability to perform the service or activity in a timely fashion, including staffing and the staff's familiarity with the service or activity, cost competitiveness. The borough reserves the right to conduct an interview, which we did. We did interview the applicants, and the chairwoman selected this firm to discuss the scope of professional services outlined in this proposal. So that was the criteria. We did follow the proposal, the request for proposals. An interview was conducted before a selection was made. The next one questions Resolution 117. about awarding a contract to Phoenix Advisors for your professional services and asked us to elaborate on what those services are provided. As Mr. Batista stated earlier in the meeting, we are looking to consolidate the Beach Haven Sewerage Authority with us. So we hired Phoenix Advisors to conduct a thorough financial audit of the Sewerage Authority books and our books to make sure we have in writing that this will be advantageous for us and it will be increased efficiency for the system. So that is what they are doing. Resolution 121, they're asking, authorizing the Land Use Board to conduct a preliminary investigation to establish a condemnation redevelopment area. Could you provide us with where within the borough this investigation is directed towards? Is it one site, multiple sites? And it says there wasn't anything on the Land Use Board's June 5th agenda.
Who is the president of the Beach Haven Taxpayers Association right now?
David White.
And who signed this letter?
Jackie Fife, secretary, David White, president.
Thank you.
Michael, did you want to speak to the preliminary investigation for the condemnation redevelopment area?
In 1992, 93, 94, somewhere around there, there was a hazardous waste. How do you say?
94.
94, there was a case opened for a hazardous site in our town, the Beach Haven Auto. That property, I am sad to say, is contaminated. And the owners have not moved to clean it up, in my opinion, and I think others, in the best interest of all the health and safety of the people that live in this town. And it's hard to get things done on a government level. There are a lot of people poking and a lot of ropes that pop up out of the sand to try to trip us and so forth. Fact of the matter is that site has to be cleaned. We are asking the owners to clean it. If they are not going to clean it, then we will clean it. The Borough of Beach Haven will borrow the money that we need. We'll clean that site up. We'll pay fair market value for that property. We'll deduct what it costs to clean it because that's the common sense thing to do. And if there's a balance, they'll get the balance of the money and we'll have a beautiful site. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but we certainly need the owners of the site have to know that they can't take 20 some odd years at the health risk of all the people in this town to clean up what is definitely a very hazardous waste site. And that's what's going on. I'm surprised the Taxpayers Association is making an issue of this. But if Dave White wants to come and talk to me personally, he can look at the reports that we have from our professionals that are definitive, that this is a site that absolutely needs to be cleaned up. We're not attacking the owners. We would rather not be involved in this, but time is up kicking this can down the road.
The final bullet point addressed this property and they ask about, are there any plans to remediate, condemn, or redevelop the property at 1200 North Bay Avenue? And that is the one that you just spoke about. So that is the letter, and those are our responses to their request for information.
If we do have to buy the site and we clean it up, maybe we can put a recreational park there of some sort.
The last item
Don't
under
even joke about that because it's already a rumor in town. It's already been talked about and it's not, he's kidding.
Move on.
He's
the
kidding.
last item on the general discussion is an update on the wind turbine project. Mr. Bob Stern. Come on up.
I was going to suggest, it's been a long day. I think you might find some of the wind turbine issues even more challenging than skateboard park. Maybe we go to the furthest to next meeting.
Sure.
That would be nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
It's been exhausting.
Thank you.
I didn't know you spent so much time on that.
That's
Sorry
all I
for
have,
you.
Nancy.
Pardon?
That's all I have for public.
That's all we
for,
have now,
general
opening the floor to public discussion. And that means anybody that's left here in the room or on Zoom can get up and speak on any issue. Okay. And state your name and.
How are you? Brian Boker, 5404 South Long Beach Boulevard, Holgate, New Jersey. I'm here to speak on the current legal situation of the Holiday Snack Bar. Because one neighbor complained multiple times, the borough has taken it upon themselves to spend upwards of $80,000 to revoke the Holiday Snack Bar license. So far as to take us to Superior Court last August, where the Superior Court judge denied all the requests made and told us to go back home and work it out. Well, that didn't work out. And we're blackmailed with our mercantile license and forced to go to the land use board, which we reluctantly agreed to. Lo and behold, at the land use board meeting, we're ambushed by the town attorney, Mr. Badula, who presents a package to every land use.
Excuse
board
me one
member
second. I'm going to
with-
stop you, sir. I'm going to stop you. I may be out of line, but this is not a public forum to criticize.
I'm not criticizing anyone.
And to exaggerate what is going on with the Holiday Snack Bar. We are all in favor of the Holiday Snack Bar. Let's make that
Are you
clear.
aware that within
Let's
this last
make
week,
it- sir,
we are demanded to attend a meeting
Sir,
tomorrow
I am
morning with these
making-
people to
I
revoke
am
our
making a
license?
comment.
Are you aware of that?
We are all in favor of the Holiday Snack Bar continuing as an asset for this town. You have it wrong. You keep saying we're against it. We are not. Okay? You have an obligation. It is in motion. Follow your obligation and stop sensationalizing this thing because it's not going to work for you.
It's not
gonna go
sensationalized.
against you. Yeah,
It's
you
not
are
sensationalized.
sensationalizing. I
This is
said-
all factual information in the middle of my 3 minutes. It doesn't count against my 3 minutes. So two big issues here that I can prove on paper, two big issues. We're told that we had no outdoor seating. There's no outdoor seating on record. Well, Mr. Padula politely provided that in his letter dated June 6th, where he provided me information that said the Holiday Snack Bar was granted outdoor seating in 2013. 4 tables, 6 seats, 24 seats. He granted me that information. 10 years later, I was told by the business administrator that there's no record of the Holiday Snack Bar having outside seating. That's a problem. That's a serious problem there. The second one is they're trying to hold us to 45 total seats. The Holiday Snack Bar had 45 seats indoors since 1948. In 2013, it was granted 24 outside tables, 45 inside, 24 outside, is a total of 69 seats. To this day, they are still trying to hold the Holiday Snack Bar to 45 total seats. Now, we've been told we could have 45 inside, none outside. 45 inside, or 45 inside, none outside, 45 outside, none inside, or a combination of both. So tomorrow, we're supposed to go to we're demanded to go to a meeting that we could revoke our mercantile license. Even though we're in the middle of a land use board, we agreed to go to the land use board and let them hear our due process. And in the middle of that, we were encountered with this letter that we had to go to the council tomorrow with the attorney to meet, and we could have our license revoked. So where's the due process with the land use board or any of this information, the summonses or anything? And you want to tell me that people are in favor of the Holiday Snack Bar? You can express your opinion, but I'm expressing facts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to address that unless Mrs. Boker wants to speak as the owner of Holiday Snack Bar. I can respond to her if she intends on speaking.
That
as
would
well.
be awesome. But why did you address me in your letters on June 6th?
I addressed you because you spoke, Mr. Boker, about your confusion, which based on your public comment, you still appear to be confused on the history of the approved outdoor dining at Holiday Snack Bar. After Ms. Boker speaks, I will then respond and clarify that confusion again that I've given in writing several times to your attorneys.
In Mr. Padula's letter last June 28th, 2022, there were 3 concerns at the Holiday Snack Bar. The first one was that we had served breakfast outside against the 3-person land use board review. The second one was that we had items in the buffer, which according to the planner, because we had been there for 75 years, we do not need to have a buffer. We want to be good neighbors. We're going to put a buffer. The third thing was a mobile bar. When they litigated in August and took us to the Superior Court, and at that point emergently took us in front of the Superior Court. It was to revoke our mercantile license, decrease or take away our outside seating, and in essence, shut us down. That was denied by Judge Cunningham.
It was to comply with zoning laws, and that case is still pending before Judge Cunningham, just for the record.
Stop interrupting. This was my opportunity to speak.
When you misrepresent the facts, I'm going to interrupt.
Which fact did I misrepresent?
We'll put your 3 minutes on hold. You're talking about a letter from last June. So that's how long we've been speaking about the holiday snack bar. You cherry pick certain facts to misrepresent things to the public, and then you bash borough officials on the record. Let me finish. This came about based on your mercantile license. In April of this year, you submitted an application for a mercantile license that indicated your business operated from May to October, from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., and you had 45 seats. That's what your application said. That application was denied. Then, in an effort to work with the holiday, I know for a fact you spoke with Ms. Mason and you guys came to a compromise because, as the borough has said for over a year now, we're willing to work with you. We came to a compromise. I spoke to your attorney, Mr. Rabin, and I wrote a letter on May 15th that said your mercantile license was conditionally approved and the conditions were comply with zoning laws and submit a land use board application, which you did. Because your mercantile license application was denied, it was returned to you. So subsequent to that May 15th letter, I contacted your attorney and said you need to submit a new application, mercantile license application. You submitted one on May 25th. That application said that your business operation was April to October. So you added 1 month from your April application. You expanded your hours in that application, said you operated from 7 to 10, and your seats on that application said 70. So you added 25 seats. So the next day, I wrote to your attorney and said, look, there's 2 discrepancies here. Can you please just explain the discrepancies? I got no response. That was May 26th, I wrote that letter. On June 6th, I wrote a second letter saying, hey, I didn't hear from you, Mr. Dowell and Mr. Rabin. Please respond to me. Clarify the discrepancies. I said, please respond by June 13th. I got no response. So on June 23rd, I wrote another letter and said, look, you got to clarify these discrepancies and your mercantile license will be revoked because we cannot approve a mercantile license that illegally expands your hours of operation and your number of seats. The issue of your number of seats is before the land use board. If I had the borough issue a mercantile license application based on that, you know what would happen? Next year, you'd say, look, the borough approved us. We can stay open till 10 o'clock. We have 70 seats.
Are you finished?
So I got no response from Mr. Dowell at all. I got a call from Mr. Rabin 2 days ago. I wrote another letter yesterday. I still have no response from Mr. Dowell.
Check your email.
Bruce, I think you've made your point. And what council wants to tell the public is we are trying to work with the holiday snack.
I got an email at 6:02 p.m. today.
We are trying to work with the holiday snack bar, but it's very complicated on the holiday snack bar side with all their submissions and the changing and of things. You are in a residential zone. You have neighbors that are complaining. And
I have
you
one
have to
neighbor that
com-
has complained.
One neighbor is a neighbor.
Correct.
And you have to comply. We want to help you.
Okay, now, but wait, this is
We
my
want to
turn to
help you.
speak, Mike.
We want
Mr.
to help you.
Batista.
We want to help you.
So listen, please.
I've been listening.
Okay, well, but you haven't heard me. So now I need you to hear me.
Let's go.
So it went to Superior Court and it was denied. We finished the summer. When we came back, we were supposed to meet with the council and Miss Mason. We tried 4 times to set up meetings and every time those meetings were canceled. January came and this is all in documentation. And now we're told that we have to go in front of the land use board. And so I am talking with council about doing that. And we are in a residential zone, but we're pre-existing non-conforming, meaning we were there and then they built the houses. So there is, in terms of the buffer is the main issue with that. But this was all over serving breakfast. They'll go back to what it's grown to is we're being accused of expanding our use.
It's not just over serving breakfast.
Goodness.
No, wait, this is not, this public discussion is not.
No, I need the
debate.
public, Mayor. Exactly. So
It's not
let
a
me
debate.
finish. I need your counsel to hold his tongue for 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes.
It's not just
If
over
he-
serving breakfast. I mean, she says that, but that's not the case.
In your letter on the 28th, Bruce, it is.
This is not the pro.
And that is also the summons.
All right, I
It's not,
can't,
but.
this- yeah,
this is the point.
Eileen, with all due respect to everyone, I think this back and forth, he said, she said is enough.
So just let me
You get
finish.
you get your 3 minutes. Is that what the time is?
Well, Mr. Batista
then-
just said that I could
but
possibly
this
have a few
council
minutes.
is, council and our attorney have a different set of regulations and we're sorry, but
That's fine.
So
Look.
go ahead and say your piece. And then in my opinion, that's it. We're done.
Okay.
And tomorrow's another day and good luck tomorrow. I don't know. That's all, but go ahead.
All right.
I
So
understand.
I did make, on the first mercantile application for this year, and look, the wording on a lot of your documents for the town, seating, number of seats. So I did put 45, assuming they were talking about what had been on the inside. When it was denied and Mr. Rabin and Mr. Brzezinski and Mr. Dow looked at it, they said the number there should be 70 because that's what we've been operating with. And that's what has been in place since about 2013. Hours of operation, your ordinance says I could run a business from 6 a.m. in the morning until midnight, food service. And so I'm putting those hours. But the point today is that on the Friday before the holiday weekend, and the land use boarding meeting was 3 weeks ago, 4.5 hours long, your council came in, and I don't know why the council attorney was at my land use board meeting when they're supposed to be two separate things. And he handed them a black notebook with, if someone wants to talk about cherry picking, was information from the ongoing litigation with the town and his facts as they've seen it presented to the land use board. It would have seemed to us as if he was trying to bias or sway the board or give them facts from their side and their side only. Much like the press release that was put out there that begins with, this all began with the complaint of a neighbor. But what this began with the summonses that I received for serving breakfast outside and things in the 10-foot buffer. From there, the press release says a neighbor started the complaint. On record, when I opened your complaints, there wasn't a complaint from the neighbor until July 29th. We were headed towards Superior Court then. But the bottom line, what's happening tomorrow is, and I did not think or want to go in front of that land use board because we didn't believe that we needed a minor site plan. And Sherry Mason in front of Pat O'Donnell said repeatedly, all you need is a minor site plan. You just need to go in front of the land use board and get with a minor site plan. She banged her hand on the table and said, you're going to get everything that you asked for. You need to go in front of the land use board. So we went 4.5 hours with the land use board. And I appreciate that they didn't rush the vote. They want to take their time. They want to look at the placement of the seats. We want to talk about the buffer and what's going to be put there. And they have called a special meeting for July 17th. So now we're in the process of preparing for a full site plan. The Bokers will spend conservatively about another $7,000 on the site plan for the town. However, in the meantime, we're still impatient. So instead of waiting for us to be able to do that, this week we receive a letter asking us to come to a meeting. Otherwise, our mercantile license will be revoked. We will not be at the meeting tomorrow. My counsel is unable to attend on 7 days' notice. We will see you on the 17th at the land use board meeting. And I am sorry, I will apologize that this has happened. But unfortunately, these are the people that work for the town. They're the public servants. We're the people of the town. And there should be some perhaps better guiding and a little less adversarial role. At times, Mr. Padula has been confusing in terms of talking to Mr. Rabin, who is my land use board attorney, versus Mr. Dowell, who's my defense attorney. So we all have to look at it and say, who's part of the solution and who's part of the problem?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
On that, I would just comment that it's a good thing. I copied both Mr. Rabin and Mr. Dowell on the letter because I only received a call from Mr. Dowell. And Mr. Rabin. My understanding was Mr. Dowell did not see the letter.
Okay.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
Okay, well,
So inappropriate.
this is not the forum for this.
Okay.
All right, anybody else like to come forward? Okay,
Hmm.
No, this seems so trivial, given all the
state
heavy.
your name and address. You have to.
Missy Latrell from Southampton,
Right.
Pennsylvania. I apologize. And I know this seems trivial, given the weight of everything else that was discussed for the past 2.5 hours. But I did send you an email, and you did respond kindly. But I was told to come to the board meeting 2 weeks in a row. I've had skin cancer 4 times. 2 weeks in a row, I was told to take down my cool cabana, that it was against an ordinance or whatever, and they said, attend the meeting and bring it up to council. I don't know if there's a fee I could pay or something to like get an extra beach tag or something to allow like certain people to have certain, I mean, an umbrella isn't really gonna handle what I need it to handle, and I know you said pavilions on each side, but my family stays in one spot. We meet families that live here. That's where we come to visit for about a month a year.
Yeah.
And
I did respond. Would-
you did
would
very
come up
kindly.
After the meeting and talk to me, what, we can have a conversation. I've had a lot of letters from a lot of people regarding this. We do have some problems on the beach because they're so eroded and narrow at the moment. I think the concerns some people have are worth, I'm a pathologist, I understand about skin cancer. And maybe we need to relook at this in the future, but if you come up after. the meeting.
Afterward, okay.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else? Nope. Okay, I'm closing. Yep, go ahead. Gotta jump fast, man. I'm ready to close this floor.
Yeah, hi, thank you. Gene Bailey, 201 Pearl Street. Just a couple of comments regarding the skateboard facility. I think it's sort of unfair for some people to say that people are against the skateboard park, especially the people that are really skateboard enthusiasts. Because I don't think, there's probably only 1% of the people here that are against a skateboard park. It's primarily the location. I'm in favor of a skateboard park. And I think the conclusion ended up being that Walsh Field is not the best one. It's open space, used by everybody. Debbie Whitcraft brought up a couple points that were never brought up regarding the helicopter pad. Okay, all right. I'm just making my comment. Okay. And I know it's been tough for people, and I appreciate the work that people have put into it. But again, I think the thing that it came down to is location, and compromise has to be made in order to do it. We have to relook at things, and you have to maybe scale back and reconsider, even though our pride may be hurt a little bit. So I think that's what the majority of the people here felt, that the location wasn't good, maybe have to compromise, find a way, get it done. I think we want to get it done. That's all. Thank you for your work.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gene.
Okay, anybody else before I close?
Love
the
your
floor?
shirt, by the way, Gene.
Okay, I'm closing the floor. The floor is closed. And now we have final remarks by council. Would you like to start, Colleen?
I'd love to. Just want to congratulate Sergeant Daly, even though he's not here, on his promotion and wish him many years of happiness and good service in Beach Haven. And congratulate Mary Ivanchik, whose party is now an hour in, and for her 25 years of faithful service. And happy 4th. Be careful. Stay safe.
Thank you. Kitty?
Congratulations to our new sergeant and to Mary. We'll miss her. It's her lovely manner in answering the phone and all the hard work that she's put forth for this fine borough. I want to thank Chris Carson and the Public Works Department for planting some trees in Veterans Park and hydrangea, not, like 6 trees and 2, 4, 6, 8 hydrangea bushes. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I know the town will too. Hopefully they will provide some shade in about 20 years when they grow. I take a look at the lights that have been repurposed from the park. They've been put back up on the Amber Street side. They look really beautiful. I want to wish everyone a happy 4th, safe 4th. Enjoy your family and your friends and your barbecues, and good luck to the chief and all the other police officers this weekend. You're gonna need it.
They need it. All right,
Thank you.
Mike?
I'd like to ask the council to support an effort to get a
Use your
waterfront
microphone.
development permit. Apply for a waterfront development permit for the end of West Avenue and Pearl Street where we want to try to moor these boats. That would be the next step to get
Okay.
this moving.
All right,
If we are going to lose the grant, I do remember at the time that we were applying for the grant, I asked that it be repurposed for a basketball court. And so if that is the case, I don't think we will lose the money if we.
We have two separate,
We have two separate grants?
one for basketball court,
Okay,
one for skate park.
all
is
right.
there any way we can see if we could do a pop-up skateboard park, a temporary thing?
And what about the funding for the basketball? We didn't talk about that.
I don't think the GIF would approve of temporary pop-up ramps. I don't think
Okay,
they
well,
would
we can-
approve
we can
coverage
look
for
into it.
anything like that.
Can we use the skateboard grant for basketball?
No, you can't.
No.
Okay.
But I
Use
mean,
it.
that doesn't mean we can't move it forward with basketball.
Okay.
Right?
It's the same place that the skate park was gonna be.
No, I'm thinking more about another location for the basketball.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And finally, so we had an accident in town a couple of weeks ago. A pedestrian crossing the road was hit by a car and died. So my sympathy to their family. It disturbs me, obviously. I want the crossing signs to get in as quickly as possible. And I know there's a lot of delay up the county on this thing.
Mhm.
So as quickly as we can move on getting these crossing signs, I see a lot of people walking here and it's dangerous. It is dangerous. And so I put this program in place earlier on where motorists have to stop when a pedestrian steps off the curb. And pedestrians have to cross in the crosswalk. Unfortunately, this pedestrian was in the crosswalk, but didn't see the crossing sign. And so, tragedy.
It's very tragic, and
Terrible.
I want to say that Mr. Batista has worked really hard to get the lights that tell you how many minutes you have to go across, how many, seconds or whatever. And we are going to get those, but the county couldn't do it till in the winter sometime. And so we made this effort, and it really was a very upsetting event in town, which I'm sure the police can also affirm.
One other thing I noted during our discussions today, the resolution for curbside pickup, that was established during COVID,
After.
after COVID. Is that something that we want to continue moving forward? I mean, our parking spaces are so valuable. Do we need a
Well, I
pickup?
have a thought on that
designated?
because the thing that at first when I saw them, I'm like, why do we still have these? And then I spoke to Helene Kosif, who owns Ben and Jerry's, a couple other people, and I know that even though it's only for a few minutes, it's very hard for evidently the people in Victoria Rose are parking on the street, so they save their spots for their guests and not parking underneath. And you've mentioned that before, Jamie, and it's a problem. And I think that at least, especially in that area, it helps them have at least a couple spots for people to pull up and get a scoop of
Okay.
ice cream, but I could be wrong. I think it's something, I don't
Is it
know.
temporary parking or is it for
It's,
takeout?
it's a time limit.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
it's a
have
15
If you get an ice cream cone,
15 minutes to get their stuff and leave.
Oh, okay.
And-
I
and
thought
I
it
mean,
was
and-
for them to have curbside pickup.
No, it's for people to come pick up their orders.
Okay.
and-
Right. They just pull in, get it and leave. So they can't park there.
how many businesses have them? Almost all? Only
Four,
four,
five.
yeah.
It's not that many, and I think it does help a bit. I mean, we limit the number of spaces they can have, but, I think like the Che has two.
This year, we,
Well, maybe
I think we
Chad
approved
doesn't
what they
need 'em.
requested.
Okay.
Anything else, Mike?
Anything else, Mike?
Adjourn.
All right.
No,
and
Jamie
so-
didn't get to speak.
I'm good. I
Never
spoke
mind. I'm
enough.
sorry.
Yep, that's
Are you
fine.
sure? And I just say ditto to everybody. Yeah, I want to have a wonderful 4th of July. Hope everything goes smoothly, and congratulations to the new sergeant, and we're going to miss Mary. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for coming. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
Thank you.
All right,
Meeting adjourned.
we're adjourned.
Beverly-
Thanks, Mike. Dollar?
Beverly-